to their resolution. Following are some of the points that I consider to be my most valuable learning experiences. Number 1, many aspects of life expand as our consciousness expands. This includes improvement in communication and relationships, developing skills, sensory enhancement, free flow of thought, appreciation of nature, and growth in inner strength and well-being. Number 2, the source of life is utterly real. Those who have the strength and courage to explore this dimension will find an incomprehensible beauty almost beyond the strength of humans to gaze upon. Number 3, the universe is created in unconceivable love, a vast, endless, timeless love that is in the heart of every living creature, that awaits within each of us to be discovered by those who earnestly seek it. Number 4, we are truly all one. Our brother's welfare is our welfare. His or her pain is our pain, and there is no private salvation. The Buddhists are right. There is no way to advance spiritually without committing oneself to the happiness and welfare of all living beings. Thank you very much. Intentionality is the bottom line. We act, create, accomplish, and love according with the depth of our intention. Number 6, the most glorious experience can fade away unless we take full responsibility for bringing it into realization in our lives. And 7, and last, gratitude and appreciation are the star steps to heaven. God bless you.
As you may have noticed, Myron, for the most part, read his remarks from an essay he wrote specifically for the occasion of Dr. Hoffman's birthday celebration. But I should point out that if you ever have the pleasure of visiting with him in person, you'll find that his conversation follows in much the same vein as his writing. And I hope to be able to share some recent conversations that I had with Myron in a future podcast. Just last month, my wife and I were guests of Jean and Myron at their lovely home in the high desert, where the majestic views of the Sierra Nevada mountains can be seen in almost every direction. I did record some of our talks that weekend, but haven't had a chance to listen to them yet and see if they came out okay. But if the goddess has blessed us, then one day you will be able to hear some of the great stories that Jean and Myron told us as I pestered them with every question I could think of to ask. And by the way, I'm sure that they would both love to hear from any of you who would like to contact them, and I'll be happy to forward your emails on to them if you like. Since spam is such a problem these days, I don't want to be the cause of them getting even more unwanted email sent to them, and so I don't feel comfortable giving out their email addresses in a podcast, but I do promise that if you send an email to Lorenzo@matrixmasters.com with a subject line that reads, "For Myron and Jean," I'll be sure to send it on to them. And speaking of email, I hope that your messages to me are getting through, as I really enjoy hearing from my fellow psychedelic saloners, and I'm learning a lot from your comments. For example, Tor wrote to remind me that it isn't just the rave and dance community where there's some good psychedelic music floating around. And he points out that rock music isn't dead yet, and that new groups continue to build on some of the earlier work by bands like the Grateful Dead, the Byrds, and others. And I have to admit that during my solo journeys into entheospace, well, some of those groups are definitely on my playlist as well. So thanks for pointing that out, Tor, and it's good to know that I'm not the only rock and roll guy here. And Daniel from Copenhagen wrote to give me a little different perspective on part of the rave scene in Europe. You know, I guess I've been a little over the top talking about the rave scene here in the States, primarily because my tangential involvement in it is primarily through the Burning Man community. But as Daniel points out, not all is well with the dance community, at least parts of it. And one of the things he mentions is something that I once heard Terence McKenna say, and that is the fact that far too many ravers are using the wrong drugs. Among other things, he said, is that most people are on bad ecstasy, cocaine, and amphetamines, and usually also alcohol. Man, that's a really bad combination in my humble opinion. And in truth, that describes a lot of the scene over here too, I'm afraid. I just try to not think about how much potentially good psychedelic energy is being wasted by some of the candy ravers who are evolving along the meth and coke and alcohol lines. And if that's the scene you're into, you might want to check out a little of the mushroom and acid consciousness and contribute some positive energy to the noosphere while you're out there dancing. For one thing, it's a lot more fun and pleasurable than the coke and alcohol path. Well, that's enough preaching for today, huh? But thank you all for sending me your thoughts and comments. It's good to know that even though human consciousness still isn't where we hope it's heading, that there are a lot of you highly aware people out there who are doing your best to nudge our species along to a better way of living. And before I go, I also want to mention the fact that I'm not always the best organized person around. I make these work lists to help me feel like I've got control of my life, and then I bury them somewhere and forget to read them. Thankfully, you guys are willing to put up with me even when I've screwed up. What am I talking about, you ask? Well, I got a call from a fellow saloner the other day, and he was very kindly and gently asking if I'd received an order he placed for my book a couple of months ago. Wow. Did I ever screw up on that one? Poor Dave placed his order a week, I guess about the week after I returned from Burning Man, and to tell the truth, I was completely fried, and his order just slipped through the cracks, which is no excuse. And I wish I could say that I'm always as understanding as Dave was, but when somebody screws something up like that on me, I get really testy about it. So thank you, Dave. Not even in the midst of that big storm they're still digging out from the Midwest did you get upset with me. And now the reason I'm telling this story on myself is that I'm afraid that Dave may not be the only one whose order or email or something like that I've messed up. So if that's the case with any of the others of you, please let me know. As I said, my email address is lorenzo@matrixmasters, that's matrixmasters.com, and put the word podcast in the subject line, if you will, and that should get through most of my spam filters, and then I'll fix the problem as best that I can, as fast as I can. I guess I should also mention that this and all of the podcasts from the Psychedelic Salon are protected under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. And if you have any questions about that, you can click on the link at the bottom of the Psychedelic Salon webpage, which may be found at matrixmasters.com/podcasts, or by going directly to the creativecommons.org website. If you still have questions, you can send them to me in an email as well. Again, I want to thank Jacques Cordell and Wells, otherwise known as Chateau Hayuk, for the use of their music here in the Psychedelic Salon. After I sign off here in just a minute, I'm going to play a new song for you that my friends Galen and Jim wrote and recorded to help promote a new meme that has sprung up in Africa, Ghana to be exact. The campaign is called Stop Killing Us, and details about this may be found on the internet at stopkillingus.org. And I hope you'll take a few minutes to check it out and maybe even make a small donation and get one of their t-shirts, which are being used to get this important message out. As we just heard Myron Stolaroff say, there is no way to advance spiritually without committing oneself to the happiness and welfare of all living beings. It's a simple truth, but one that can change the world if we all take it to heart. And for now, this is Lorenzo signing off from Cyberdelic Space. Be well, my friends.
To their resolution. Following are some of the points that I consider to be my most valuable learning experiences. Number one, many aspects of life expand as our consciousness expands. This includes improvement in communication and relationships, developing skills, sensory, to advance spiritually without committing oneself to the happiness and welfare of all living beings. Almost beyond the strength of humans to gaze upon. Number three, the universe is created in unconceivable love, a vast, endless, timeless love that is in the heart of every living creature, that awaits within each of us to be discovered by those who earnestly seek it. Enhancement, free flow of thought, appreciation of nature, and growth in inner strength and well-being. Number two, the source of life is utterly real. Those who have the strength and courage to explore this dimension will find an incomprehensible beauty. Number four, we are truly all one. Our brother's welfare is our welfare. His or her pain is our pain, and there is no private salvation. The Buddhists are right. There is no way